Hello and welcome to Talk to Downtown. My name is Courtney Wood. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Downtown Stockton Alliance, the 501c6 nonprofit property-based business improvement district serving downtown Stockton. Today we have special guest Jack Schroeder. He is with the San Joaquin County Law Library. We'll begin by having Jack share a little bit about his background and how he came to work for the Law Library. Then I'll go through a list of questions I've outlined for him, and at the end, we will open it up for viewer questions. And with that, welcome, Jack. Thank you so much for being our guest today. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to work for the Law Library.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. It's a real pleasure. I started off as a librarian many years ago. I got my library degree from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I worked for about 6 years for the German Cultural Center in Los Angeles as a librarian. I had a background in German language. I studied in Germany for a couple of years, so it was a pretty good fit for me. While I was there, I started going to law school. And I went to Southwestern Law School in Los Angeles for a couple of years. My library closed with the German Cultural Center. They shifted some money over to Eastern Europe after the fall of the Berlin Wall. So I continued to work at Steven Spielberg's Foundation in Los Angeles while working on my law degree. Got my JD in December 1997. Took the California bar exam in summer of 98 and passed that. I've worked at Western State University College of Law in Orange County, the Alameda County Law Library over in Oakland, McGeorge Law School Library, and also at the University of the Pacific. In 2020, I started working at the San Joaquin County Law Library. It was right during the pandemic. So I had one colleague working with me in the mornings. Afternoons, I was by myself. We took appointments. People could come in and do research. And about middle of 2021, we actually opened up again, finally, to the general public. And so that's how I ended up at the San Joaquin County Law Library as director.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing your background. So you have a lot of experience working with libraries, many years of experience. So can you tell us now about the San Joaquin County Law Library? What is the Law Library? Tell us about the history, why it was started, and the mission.
Yes, well, I'll start off with the mission. And our mission is to provide free access to legal resources for attorneys and the general public. The only charge that we require is for printing or photocopying. So we charge 25 cents a page for that, but otherwise, anyone is welcome to come in, use our materials, expensive legal materials and databases at no charge. So the history, now this is something that I actually had to do a little research on. I knew some vague history, but I had to do a little bit more research on this. So in California, in 1891, the legislature authorized collection of $1 per civil court filing to be set aside for county law libraries, for the formation of county law libraries in California. So that was 1891. San Joaquin County Law Library was formed in July of 1894. So we go back into the 19th century. Okay, we were originally housed in the courthouse in Stockton, a courthouse that no longer exists. We moved to our current location on Sutter Street in the Crest Legal Center in 2005. We had been in the courthouse prior to that. Okay, the original library in 1894 housed 7,000 volumes. We've now got about 18,000 volumes, and with many additional resources on our computers. So a little bit about the governance of our library. We are governed by a board of trustees consisting of 4 judges, 1 court commissioner, and 2 attorneys. The board meets quarterly. Our board meetings are open to the public, and the state law governing law libraries can be found in the Business and Professions Code. So many people are surprised to learn that we are not actually part of the county. We are an independent agency. Okay, we don't receive tax money from the county. And I believe you have a question later on about our funding, so I'll get into more on that later on. But we are an independent agency. So I'm not a county employee, although we do work closely with the county. They manage our payroll, for example. We use the county IT department to assist us with our computers. We lease computers from the county, but nobody who works there is a county employee.
Very interesting. Yes, I didn't know that. And why don't we go ahead and talk about funding now? So you shared a little bit about how that started. Yeah,
okay.
Let's do it.
Well, this is a little bit of a complicated thing here. Okay, I mentioned that originally there was $1 added on to civil court filing fees that was to be set aside for county law libraries. So when a person files a civil suit in San Joaquin County Superior Court, that person pays a filing fee. And I do have, I do have a list of examples here what these fees are. For example, a small claims court is a filing fee $75, and some unlimited civil filing $435. So when people file these and pay these fees, we get some of that money. For most of the documents, we get $29 per filing. For small claims, we get $2 per filing. So now in this is where it gets a little complicated. The law library fee is different in different counties. The highest, I think, is $50 per document filing. Some of the really small counties with no population, they get $4 per filing. So their total annual income is less than $1,000. They don't have much of a library, of course. But in 2007, the legislature passed something called the Uniform Civil Filing Fee Act. And we could not increase our filing fee amount after 2007. Before that, we would go to the Board of Supervisors and say, we need a $3 increase in our filing fee, and they would approve it or not. We can't do that anymore. And so after 2007, I believe our low point in annual fees from the court was 39% lower than in 2008, 2009 fiscal year. So we had a much lower income. People have been, so when you go to the court, they attempt to get you into alternative dispute resolutions. If somebody files for a fee waiver, we don't get any money from that because they're not paying a fee to the court. Okay, more recently, they raised the jurisdictional amount for small claims court to $12,500, had been $10,000. So as I mentioned, we get $2 for every small claims court filing. And so when they raise that, we get $2 instead of $29 in a normal civil case. So our income has been declining. This year, fiscal year, which just ended, I would expect us to have about 10 to 12% less than what we got in 2008, 2009. And that's not accounting for inflation, right? So,
right.
And the legal publishers have their own way of making inflation. So back when inflation was 0 or 1% for the general public, we were getting increases of 5 to 7% on our legal publications. So starting in about 2018, the group that I belong to, called Council of California County Law Librarians, began lobbying the legislature for some additional supplements, some backfill, they call it. So we could bring our income up to the 2008-2009 level. And we were successful for 4 years between 2018 and 2022 in doing that. Of course, when the state has budget problems, it's really hard to lobby for additional money. And so we haven't got anything since 2022. So it's a rather complicated situation with the money. We're trying to get a line in the governor's budget just to bring us up to the level that we had been 15 years ago. We had to cancel a number of print publications because unlike a public library, a general public library, you can buy a book and it can stay on your shelf for 50 years. You don't have to touch it. Our books, our law books, have to be updated, sometimes once, sometimes more times a year. You have to pay for those updates to keep the books current, right? And so we have some of our books are in 3-ring binders, and we get pages, and my staff will read the filing instructions and take out an old page and put in a new page. Okay. Some of our books have these things called pocket parts, and I have a demonstration and a sample here. And these are put in the back of the book, slips in the back of the book. We would get these once a year. We have to pay for them. Okay. Sometimes you get a pamphlet like this that updates the main print volume. It has to be paid for annually. So, and of course the fees on these things have increased over the years. So we are trying to get a line on the governor's budget, but so far not successful. We'll have to get a little bit more into the black and less in the red in the state budget, I think, before we'll see any improvements in that. So that's our complicated budget story.
Thank you. And do you accept donations? Is that something that the law library can accept?
Yeah, we do. We have a little box in the front of our library by the door, and somebody can come by and drop some money in. And occasionally we'll get a $20 bill. That's very nice. I don't think my colleague in Sonoma County got a $1 million donation.
Wow.
I would like that, but I'm not going to wait for that.
Right.
A lawyer
Thank you.
very regularly gave him quite a sum of
A
money.
huge one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So they must have been a really, really helpful resource for him.
I think so.
So you have resources available for lawyers, also for law students and the general public. Can you tell us more about the databases that you have available, also the archives, and any other research tools that people can use?
Sure. First off, we are a practice-oriented library. So we don't have much that a law student would find useful. We don't have case books. We don't have study aids. If the student happens to be working for an attorney or a legal clinic on campus, our practice guides, we are open to the public. Anyone can come in, including law students. So they could come in and use our practice guides for that. But most of our focus is geared on people who are have a legal problem that needs to be solved, whether it's an attorney or a general public. So what we have in terms of databases, we've got about 5 or 6 of those. Our main database is called Lexis Advance. That's probably our broadest database. It has cases and codes from all 50 states and also the federal government. It also has secondary sources, practice guides, mainly published by LexisNexis. So LexisNexis is one of the main publishers of both print and database. The other main database publisher is West. We don't have a West database because their costs were just going too high for us. So we have Lexis now, which is good enough. We have a lot of stuff by West in print. Okay, our second database, another major publisher, but mostly focused in California here, is called CEB, Continuing Education of the Bar. It's a nonprofit based in California, and we have something called On Law, which is a collection of all of their books in digital format. We have many of the CEB books in print as well, but On Law has many more, and people can use this in our library. LexisNexis also available in our library. Can't access it from offsite. We have something called Verdict Search, which even some people who are not interested in law might find an interesting database. It's a collection of personal injury cases, verdicts, and settlements, right? So if you want to know what your little finger's worth, your neighbor's dog bites off your little finger, and you want to know what's it worth, you can look in Verdict Search and find out what your little finger is worth. There are prices on every body part, right?
Whoa, very interesting.
So you can find out, and it covers the whole country. Verdict Search covers the whole country, but you can limit it to just one state. You can limit it to, you want to see what San Joaquin County courts have decided your finger is worth, you can limit it by that. So that's a pretty interesting one, even for people who have no interest in law. So we also have something called Legal Information Reference Center, which is our collection of self-help books published by Nolo Press. And I should mention that this is carried by a lot of public libraries as well. Legal Information Reference Center. Stockton Public carries this too, so you can access this from off-site. You can be at home and access this and look at our self-help collection. So that's very useful. We also have many of the Nolo print books here, and I will show you some of those a little bit later. We have a LexisNexis digital library. That is a collection of ebooks, and that can also be accessed off-site. You have to register for that. But anybody who's a resident of San Joaquin County, or an attorney who is a resident or has an office in San Joaquin County, can register for that and have access to this collection of legal ebooks. Another one that people might find interesting, even if they're not interested in the law, is something called Bell's Compendium. It's both in print, it's also a database, and it covers search and seizure. So if you stopped by the sheriff and you want to know how much of your automobile the sheriff can search, there'll be all kinds of cases like that in Bell's Compendium. Okay, and finally, ex-spouse, which maybe you can guess, it's for spousal support. So you can add up all your income and assets and whatnot and see what you owe your spouse or your child, former spouse or child. Okay, so those are pretty much our databases that we pay for here. And you had another question after that?
Oh, yeah, those are some great databases and great resources. I was wondering if you have any archives as well.
Archives, we have some old books that used to be stored in our locker in the basement. I've rescued them and brought them upstairs, but I wouldn't call them an archive. although no, they're probably an archive, but people don't come here for those books. We have old books on railroad law and 100-year-old books on water law, things like that. The people who come into our library, we are a practicing library. We have current law and they have current problems. So if somebody were writing a paper on, water law in the 19th century, they might find one of our older books useful. But most of the people who come in here, if not all of them, have a current legal problem and they need current law to solve it. Now we do have, it's not really an archive, but we do have San Joaquin County grand jury reports that go back to 1960. And so those are available for people to read if they have any interest in that.
Very cool. Oh, yes. Did you have something else you wanted to share? Sorry if I cut you off.
Oh, no, that was the extent of our archives, really.
Very cool. Yeah. Since you have been around since 1894, it's interesting.
I haven't been around that long.
No. You look great. You look great. But, since the law library has been around that long, it's interesting to know you have some older books that anyone who has an interest in history, you might want to go and see if possible. Very cool. And some of the tools you're talking about, I could see being extremely helpful. Someone needs to know how much support they're going to need to pay their former spouse. I really hope anyone listening, finds this extremely helpful because they're free tools. So thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
What proportion of your visitors are law professionals versus just members of the general public?
Probably, I would say 80 to 85% of the people who come in here are non-attorneys. About 15% maybe are attorneys. And as I mentioned, we do get an occasional law student coming in, but they're really looking for things that we don't have, unless they happen to be in a practice area, a clinic, or doing an internship or something like that.
Gotcha. Okay, so a lot of members of the general public are coming in. They've got some kind of legal issue. Can you tell us, what are they coming in for usually? Maybe give us a couple of profiles about, why are they coming to the law library? Or,
we do get a lot of repeat questions in some very specific area. Divorce is one. People file their own divorce. Child custody, visitation, a lot of probate, a lot of landlord-tenant questions, small claims court. And then after that, it's just a collection of all kinds of different things. But those are the main topics, I think. Sometimes traffic citations, sometimes fighting a ticket. We get some of those too.
All right. What's the most common resource question that you're asked and how do you answer it?
Well, the most common research, so generally people might be looking for a form. They either have to file a case or respond to a filing. And it could be on any of these popular topics that I mentioned. And what we start off recommending is that people go to the California courts self-help site. Many people are unaware of this, and the California courts, I think it's called, I got the website here. I usually have it memorized, but now that I'm live on camera, courts.ca.gov, okay? Courts.ca.gov, California Courts website. They have a self-help tab at the top of the page, and it takes you through step by step many of these legal issues, probate, landlord-tenant issues, whether you're a landlord or a tenant. It'll show you how to file an eviction, and it'll have links to standardized forms published by the Judicial Council of California. We do have, as I mentioned, some self-help books by the NOLO publisher. And so if people need additional information on some of these topics, there maybe something is not on the court's website, we provide them with a NOLO book on the topic. But many people are not aware of courts.ca.gov. People really aren't aware of legal resources in general until they have a problem.
Need it.
Yeah. So people don't really know we exist until a relative dies and they have to probate an estate and they need a form. So then they come in.
Wonderful.
So we're quite different from a public library where you might borrow a book or borrow a DVD, and every couple of weeks you go back, return it, and take out something new, and then you see people again and again. That generally doesn't happen with members of the public. They come in, they solve their problem, and then they're gone. We don't see them over and over again. The attorneys we see, but not the general public. Once their problem is solved, they go away.
Right. Hopefully they don't have to come back. Nothing else happens that makes them.
We always tell them that when they take their documents over to file with the court, we say, we hope we never see you again, but usually something's wrong and they have to come back and redo something. So.
Oh no. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that site. So if someone does want to find basic legal forms, would that be the best site for them? The courts.ca.gov?
Courts.ca.gov is, they have the self-help tab up on top. They also have a forms tab up there. And the Judicial Council of California has published many standardized forms. Some of them are mandatory, some of them are optional, but they really help the courts. They help people who are filing court documents, because a lot of times you just have to take your pen and put a check mark in the box, and that you don't have to worry about the format or anything. The form is right there. So for many cases, it's just a Judicial Council form, standardized form that they need to turn in. And those are both available at courts.ca.gov.
Thank you. Perfect. So what other links can you recommend or are commonly used by the people that come to get help?
We use the San Joaquin County Court has a self-help center. It's sjcourts.org. They have a self-help and a family law facilitator on the first floor of the courthouse in Downtown Stockton. And so sjcourts.org, and you can see what types of cases they help with. They don't help with everything, but they have a list of cases that they will help you with. And any of our larger county law libraries have tremendous resources. Some of them have videos on how to file a civil case and how to appear in court. They may have videos. Sacramento County Law Library has a self-help site where you can read about changing names on deeds and things, and many different topics. saclaw.org. Los Angeles County is one of the larger law libraries in the country. They have a lot of useful information there. San Diego County is a large law library. I would check out their websites as well, but the California Courts website is probably a good place to start.
Thank you. Wonderful. Good information. So can you please tell us now, what are the boundaries of what staff at your library can help with versus what you might not be able to help someone with?
Yes. Actually, I'm going to read our policy. We have a policy. It's printed, and if I leave out a word or put in a wrong word, uh, it probably ruins our policy. So we have a sign here that tells people what we can and what we can't do. Okay. By law, no member of the law library staff may give any patron legal advice. Accordingly, staff may not interpret legal materials for patrons, advise them as to how the law might apply to their particular situation, or assist them in preparing and filling out legal forms of any kind. Staff can provide patrons legal assistance by directing them to topical print and electronic materials, sections, and subject headings that might be helpful in answering a particular question or issue. Okay, so that's pretty much in a nutshell. We can't do legal advice. We can't tell people, you filled out this form correctly, now go take it over to the courts. We're not really qualified to do that. And we can't get involved in everyone's legal issues. We can't learn all of their facts. So that's not possible for us to really understand every issue that comes in here. Okay, so generally the county law librarians will, those who are bar members will say, I am an attorney, I'm not your attorney. So we can't read. Sometimes people will take a pile of documents like 2 inches thick and go, here, can you help me respond to this? And we go, that would take me all day to read. We can't do that. So yeah, we help them as much as we can. We can find sample filled out forms for them. We have a tremendous number of resources here to help them help themselves. So we can point them in the right direction and maybe even find out an example of something that's already been filled out. But we certainly aren't able to tell them, this is correct. Take it over to the courts and file it. That's a little bit beyond what we can do.
Gotcha. So you can help them find the information, direct them to things that may help them, and that's kind of where your abilities lie or capabilities lie.
Yeah, that's what we do, right? And most people are fine with that type of limitation, because we are usually able to find them something that helps them help themselves.
Awesome. So if someone has come in and maybe they've started doing some research, they've found some cases or examples that they think will help them with the legal issue they have at hand, but now they are looking to go ahead and hire an attorney, can you tell us how they can access a directory of local firms?
Yes. First, I would say that in the past, we had referred people to the County Bar Association's lawyer referral service. Unfortunately, earlier this year, that program ceased to exist, and it's very common now. I've looked at the Alameda County Bar Association. They no longer have a lawyer referral service. Sacramento County Bar Association also doesn't. So, and we had been referring people over there, but we have to do some workarounds. The Bar Association does have a list of local organizations and even national organizations that may help with legal issues. For us, we refer people to something called findlaw.com. Findlaw, one word.com. They allow you to search. This site allows you to search for attorneys in a certain geographic area, and you can search by keywords and find people that way. California Bar Association has an attorney search, and so calbar.ca.gov. You can search for attorneys if they have a certified legal specialty. And there are a certain number of those specialties that the bar recognizes. You can search by the specialty. You can also search for attorneys by keyword and also geographic area. You can limit by that. So those are two of the things that we would recommend to people.
Can you share the name of a second site again so I can type it?
Say that once more, please.
Oh, can you please share the name of the second site you mentioned so I can put it up?
calbar.ca.gov.
Thank you.
calbar.ca.gov. And then they have a tab for attorney search or find an attorney. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Okay, so that can help anyone who maybe they've hit a wall in trying to, help themselves in a certain issue or case, and if they're needing to get that next step and getting professional assistance, this can help them do that. So I would like to ask now, what resources do you have for anyone who's looking for immigration information?
Okay. Well, we don't actually get a lot of questions on immigration, but we have some good resources. And I speak from experience. My wife is Chinese, and she used all of the things that I will mention here. We have a NOLO book. I mentioned this is a self-help book. So green card, excellent resource. She also became a U.S. citizen.
Okay, nice.
NOLO Press, excellent resource. And sort of a general book here, U.S. Immigration Made Easy. All of these published by NOLO, a self-help publisher, very useful. I also recommend people go to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services website. You may as well go right to the government source, right? I can give you that site if you want. It's www.uscis.gov.
Awesome.
And most people, should be able to get a green card and citizenship just with these simple books here, self-help books.
Thank you. And those are available there in the library, correct?
Yes, they are. Yes. And they're available at many public libraries too. The NOLO books, NOLO, those are available in many public libraries too. So you may find something closer to home that you can use with free parking as well at a public library.
Thank you. And good to know that you've been through the process with your wife, so you know that these resources work. So thank you.
It worked. Yep.
Can you share maybe a few stories when the resources or assistance that someone received at the San Joaquin County Law Library made an impact on their life or their circumstances?
Yeah, I can. Like I said, a lot of our people they solve their problem and we never see them again. So we were fortunate enough to have somebody in here working on a problem for quite a few months. I won't reveal a lot of details, just sort of privacy matter. But he was suing an organization that he had been a board member on, and he took it to the local court here, and he lost, and he wasn't happy, and so he came back to us again, and he went to the Court of Appeals in Sacramento, and using our resources, he filed his appeal. He wrote an appellate brief. He won his case in Sacramento, and was sent back down to the court here, where he also was happy with his results. So we just happened, because he was appealing, we happened to see him again, and he came back in and was excited to tell us that he had won an appeal, which is not easy to do. And he was a teacher, so no special legal skills or anything like that, but using our resources, he managed to win a case. And so another one that's, I don't know the results of it, but we had we get some very unusual cases here too. Some of them involving, roommates. Some of them involving somebody who's renting a room from somebody. We had a couple of guys from a local church come in one day, and they had a woman living in their church kitchen. And,
Wow.
and they had to go through a legal process to have her removed. And so we helped them go through the whole eviction process to move somebody out of a kitchen, right? We've had people move into somebody's trailer that's stored on their lot, and they,
Oh,
they
no.
yeah. So we get a lot of interesting cases here too. It's unusual, but a lot of them are sort of probate and things like that. But yeah, those are a couple of instances, and we get a lot of success here from pro pers, people representing themselves who didn't they don't think they can do it, and then they put in some time, and it does require time and effort, reading, filling out forms, and when they're successful, they're quite surprised and overjoyed.
That's wonderful. It's so cool to hear that um, your organization is such a great resource for people who want to try to do it themselves. Maybe they can't afford to get, some legal help, and they're like, I need to just dig in and get it done. And it sounds like you guys have all the resources there to help them do that. So really cool stories. Okay, so the law library is also a passport acceptance facility. Beyond all the legal resources that you offer, can you please tell us what's involved in the passport service?
Yes. Well, we got into being a passport acceptance facility back in 2021, just as COVID was ending. And as I mentioned, the funding shortages and things like that, many of the county law libraries got into passport acceptance uh, just because you get a what they call an execution fee. A $35 fee is paid to the place that processes the passport, that accepts the passport. And so we got into that as well, just as a little bit of extra money coming in. And I should note that there are no deals in passports. You don't get coupons. You can't shop around and go to a different post office and get a lower rate. It's all the same. So what we do that I think is probably different from many places. Um, we answer our phones, and we take reservations by phone or in person. So we pick up our phones. If people have questions when they're making their reservation, the staff is trained to answer questions about passports. We refer people to the passport website, travel.state.gov, which also tells them everything you need to know about getting a passport. So I think we have a lot more hands-on approach than some of the places where they take your reservation online and you don't actually talk with anyone. We do provide them with additional information, additional phone numbers that they might need to call. So yeah, it's been very, very successful, and it's sort of we kill two birds with one stone here, because a lot of people that come in for a passport, they didn't know that we were a law library. They didn't know where we were, and then so we're kind of advertising at the same time that we are also helping people get their passports. And sometimes they will come back again and use us as a law library rather than a passport acceptance facility.
Very cool. Good to know. We've got you guys in downtown. You also have conference rooms available for rent. Can you tell us a little bit about those rooms? How many people do they accommodate? What's the charge, and who can rent them out?
Yeah, we do. We do have 3 rooms, 3 different sizes. We have a small room that seats 2 to 3. We have a medium that's 3 to 4. We have a large room that's a boardroom that seats 8 people. We do have Wi-Fi here as well. And so the charges range from an hourly rate in the small room is $10 an hour. The largest room, the boardroom rather, seats 8. That's $150 for the full day. So, and the sort of people that use them, we have attorneys coming in who may be a sole practitioner. Maybe they don't have an office, so they will rent a room to meet with a client. We've had attorneys, court reporters, and their clients come in to do depositions. So they'll rent a room for half a day or whatever with the court reporter. And we do rent out to anybody. We've had people rent their small rooms for job interviews. They go in and use their Zoom or Teams for a job interview. We've had people studying for the entrance exam for medical school. They'll come in and rent a small room for that. So we do rent to anybody, although we have had people come here looking for actually an apartment. So they thought that we had rooms for rent to live in, which we don't. But you can rent them for a full day, but you can't stay overnight.
No. Awesome. Thank you. So anyone can access them, and it seems like the rates are reasonable. So it's good to know that there's this option of a conference room space in downtown Stockton.
Yeah, we haven't changed our rates since I've been here, so that's fine. I mean, it's a service to the community, really. We don't make a huge amount of money off conference rooms, but it is a service. The attorneys who meet with their clients appreciate that we have space available.
Awesome. So during your time at the San Joaquin County Law Library, what's the most interesting thing you've learned? Maybe about law, ordinances, codes, statutes. Sorry, my throat is like a little clogged. But what's the most interesting thing that you've learned about our laws since your time?
May I offer you a drink?
Yes, virtually. Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I had to learn a few things. Just as my position as the library director here, I had to learn about our open meetings laws, right? I mentioned we do have a board of directors. We meet quarterly, and our meetings are open to the public. Before the meetings, I put our agenda out on the window so people can see what the topics are. So I had to learn about our open meeting laws. I'm still learning now about public records law. And this came up actually just recently because one of my colleagues at another county law library had somebody request a videotape from the security camera there. And so you have to know what are the requirements for getting this tape, or what are the limitations on records that can be given to the public. So public records law in California. And one other thing I had to learn about is our document retention policies. And I'm still working on a policy here, and I'm waiting for the Secretary of State's office. They publish a document retention policy, sort of a standard or a model, and they haven't yet put that out. So I'm waiting on that before I finish it. But the reason the document retention policy came up is because we were having our carpets cleaned here, and I found a box of documents, and I didn't know what, they were from a old building that we were going to purchase, and I didn't know if I should throw them out or keep them. And so I brought this documents up to the board, and they didn't know how long we should keep them. And then I discovered that we needed a document retention policy so we could figure out if we're required legally to keep certain things a certain amount of time, or what we can throw out. So that was another area that I learned about. So they were actually all three areas related to actually governing the law library.
Interesting. So in your own words, why is the San Joaquin County Law Library so important for our community?
Yeah, we are open to the public. We are open to any member of the public. You don't even have to be from California. And we've actually had people from out of state come here because they had a court case in the San Joaquin County Superior Court, or a member in their family died and was being probated here. And so we are open to everyone doing legal research, that is. There are no income limits on who comes in here, no geographic limits. So our legal aid organizations may have an income limit. They do have most of them have a sort of a list of things that they do and a list of things they don't do. We have materials on all different topics. So somebody who doesn't really qualify to get in with a legal aid organization may find some useful materials in our library to represent themselves. And so I think it's just our broad scope makes us very useful to the community.
A great resource right here in downtown Stockton. And what do you love about being in downtown Stockton?
Well, it's actually very important for us to be here. We have to be close to the court. A lot of times the court self-help center will send people over to us to pick up some forms or to fill out forms over here. We're close to legal aid organizations, CRLA, El Concilio, county bar associations right across the street. The DA and public defender are just a few blocks away. Of course, we're close to Downtown Stockton Alliance, which is really wonderful. You guys supplied us with window wraps so people can walk by and see that the law library is in this Crest building, right? You supplied us with a banner that we hang out in front of our building so people can see the library is here. So it's really a very good place for a law library, an ideal location for the law library. We're close to everything that's important.
Close to the courts. There are a lot of attorney offices in downtown, so
yes,
great location. And the Crest is a beautiful building as well. If no one has been there, I recommend going. It's just gorgeous. So being in downtown, can you tell us maybe about a few of your favorite lunch spots and what you like to order?
Well, I actually bring my lunch every day.
Okay.
I'm not good for business down here.
Oh no.
But I mentioned that our board meets. Okay, our board of 7 meets here quarterly, and they are unpaid. They're volunteers, and so we do supply them with lunches at the board meetings. They meet at 12:15 on Wednesday, third Wednesday. So we go and pick up lunches for them. Cast iron and alfalfas seem to be the places right now where they want their lunches. So we do that. And occasionally my Chinese wife likes meatball sandwiches from Subway, which is right next door. So I go over there occasionally.
Okay. Yeah, I love alfalfa's pizza. Cast iron is great. So good choices. So I just have a couple more questions before we close out. Are there any job openings or volunteer opportunities at the law library?
We do not have volunteers or interns here. I'm the only full-time person. We have 5 part-timers, and many of them are students, so they they have an interest in law or libraries, computers. So they eventually graduate, move on. Our students now have an interest in law. They're pre-law or paralegal students. So we don't have an opening now, but people can stop by. I've had people stop by before. It's kind of hit or miss. If we have an opening, fine. I ask them to leave a resume. We can call them back when there is an opening. Um, we do advertise at the local universities, for people interested in law, computers, libraries, that type of thing. But anybody's welcome to stop by. They're all part-time employees aside from me, so they work, from 15 to 30 hours a week.
Gotcha. Okay, so possibly right now nothing's open, but people can always stop in and ask.
Yes, yes. And did you want a general phone number for the library?
That would be great.
Yeah, they can call area code 209 468 3920.
Okay.
That's the same number. If they want to make a passport appointment, they can call that number too.
Thank you. So how can people get in touch with you, Jack, if they want to learn more about the law library, the resources you talked about today? Maybe they want to rent out a conference room, they want to know more about the passport acceptance, or just anything that you've shared today. How can they get in touch with you?
Okay, I can give out my email. I'll give you my email, my phone number, which is different from the main library number. So my email is JSCHROEDER@sjgov.org.
Wonderful. So we've got it up there. If you guys have any questions for Jack or want to learn more about the law library, maybe you're hearing about this for the first time and you want to use them as a resource in a legal issue that you have right now. There you go. Thank you. And you said there's a phone number you want me to put up?
Yeah, there's my direct number here, 209 468 0352.
Wonderful.
And I would like to invite people to check out our website too, see what we have here. There's information on our databases and conference rooms and things like that. www.sjclawlibrary.org.
Perfect. So I'll show that now as well. Yes, you guys have so many interesting links and resources on your website. So I do encourage anyone listening to definitely check it out if you're interested in anything.
One more thing? Do we have time? I just wanted to show people also.
Yes.
A lot of times we will give people this little pamphlet here. It is local resources, okay? Local legal resources. That's also social services and things like that. We have information about the self-help center in the court, district attorneys, California Rural Legal Assistance. So we have phone numbers, addresses, websites for a lot of these local organizations that may be helpful to people.
Thank you. Thank you, Jack. Wonderful. So those are all of my questions. I'm going to go ahead and open it up now for our audience. How do you feel? Are you ready?
Am I ready?
Yeah.
Or is the audience ready? Okay.
You feel good? Okay, we're going for it. So here's some of our questions and comments. Okay. This is a comment from Nate Knott. Okay, so he was saying he's tuning in now for Stockton Downtown Comeback Club, a review of this important topic. Okay, thank you, Nate, for joining us. Looks like here's another comment from Nate on Facebook saying sustained funding to maintain quality services is always a challenge. So I think that's kind of based on what you were saying, Jack, earlier. Definitely true. Okay, this is a question from Jewel on YouTube. Is it open to the public? So
Yes, absolutely. We are open. We are open for legal research. So we only have 4 public computers. So if somebody wants to come in and watch YouTube videos or something like that, we don't let them onto the computers because we are the only place in San Joaquin County where the public can come in and access our legal databases. So we have to keep the computers open for the legal research, but we are open to the public. If you have a legal question or anything that interests to the law library, bring it in.
awesome. Thank you. Thanks for your question. And here's another question from Jewel on YouTube. The question is, do you offer any help with understanding how to use the legal databases?
Yes, we do. That's actually one of the problems with things being in a database. Most people, you can hand them a book and they know what a table of contents is, they know what an index is, and so they can manage the book even if the language is a bit more difficult because it's legal language. But we do help people using our databases. Lexis is our main database. We help with that. Many of them are intuitive, but a few of them are a little more complicated, and so we do offer help with that. Yes.
Wonderful. So you guys are there to offer that support. You're familiar with the databases, you know how to use them, and you can help people get the most out of them.
Yes, right.
Okay, this question is from Johnny Palacios on Facebook. The question is, where's a good resource to help change someone's name on their documents to match their name on their social security card and birth certificate? Example, change from Johnny to Juan.
You're talking about making an official name change? There is actually a book called How to Change Your Name in California.
Wow.
Published by Nolo Press, Nolo. You don't even have to probably come into the law library, although we do own that. If you live closer to a public library, check them first. They may have it too. Nolo is a very popular publisher in public libraries as well. I would also check as I mentioned before, the court website, courts.ca.gov, the self-help website. There are, I believe, some forms, judicial council forms, standardized forms that would be used to file your name change with the court. So I would try that courts.ca.gov as well. I might try that first, since if you have a computer, internet access, you can just do it right now.
Good tip. And there's a whole book about changing your name. That's wild.
Yeah, apparently it's not uncommon. I don't.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Johnny. Okay, so this is just a comment from Nate Knott. He says, I have another engagement now, so it looks like he had to leave the live, but thank you to DSA and to the SJC Law Library.
Thanks for visiting.
Okay, this is a question from Michael Huber on Facebook. The question is, with most having access to the internet, are you moving away from books and using more cloud-based data for law research?
Well, most of what we have here is not available on the internet. As I said, we have our ebook collection, which you can access from home, but the publishers that we use, the legal publishers, they don't give their stuff away. they do spend charge us quite a bit of money actually for their publications. They're written by attorneys. Attorneys want to make money when they write a book, so we have to pay money. So a lot of things are not available. The best sources that I mentioned would be courts.ca.gov, self-help website. Um, the larger county law libraries have very good websites with the legal materials, links to forms, information about filling out the forms. But just the general internet, um, that's probably just a Google search is probably not the best place to look for things. You may get stuff that's old. You may get something that's not relevant to California. Um,
Mm.
so it's a little more difficult to do that kind of legal research just on the internet. You have to be looking at a specific site, trustworthy site. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your question, Michael, and thank you, Jack. So the benefit of using the law library sounds like is that you have the most up-to-date kind of cases. You have access to that information. Am I right?
Yeah. We pay for it every year to get updates to our materials. Yes. Yeah. That's another
So
thing about the internet. You don't know how old it is. What you're finding there, how old is it? Might not be.
right. Yeah, like what's happened since then. So that's great to know that your organization has all of that, like the most up-to-date information for anyone needing legal assistance. That's wonderful. So this is another question. It's from Jewel on YouTube. The question is, can I walk in for passport services or do I need an appointment?
It's best to have an appointment. We can take walk-ins on a case-by-case basis, but if we are pretty full that day, you may not be able to get in. So it's best to have an appointment. You could call in the morning and say, do you have any appointments today? And if you're ready, you got your photograph, you got all your documents, we may say, yeah, we have something at 10 o'clock, come in. But it's best if you really can make an appointment.
Okay, thank you. So that sums up all of our audience questions at the moment that I can see. So at this time, I want to remind everyone that this video has been streaming live to our YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, where we are at Downtown Stockton. And I want to ask Jack, before we close out, is there anything else that you want to share with people? Anything that you think people should know about the San Joaquin County Law Library or the work that you do?
Well, I would just like to recognize the staff here. Our staff, as I said, a lot of them are students. They're pre-law or paralegal. We put them through some training in legal research, and they're really very good. So I think come on in and talk to us if you've got a problem. My staff is very good. They're ready to help you, and our passport agents are also very good, and they will help you get your passport right. Okay? So please come and visit us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jack. Thank you for the work that you do for our community. You guys are just an amazing organization. It's so great to have this tool in downtown that's free. So I hope anyone listening who has a legal issue that maybe they're curious about, they want to know more, maybe they want to try to solve it themselves, consider going down there to the San Joaquin County Law Library to get more information and to hopefully win your case. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Jack, for your time. And with that, I would just like to say,
thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Have a great day downtown. Thanks, everybody.